Politics can often be a heady mix. Unprecedented scenes, if I may say, played out in Delhi as the sitting chief minister was arrested just moments ago. This is the Delhi liquor scam that the BJP has been calling it, a scrapped excise policy by the Aam Aadmi Party. I'm also being joined by Shreya Dhoundial, who is the executive editor for Mirror Now. And allow us to take you through all the details and updates that would be happening in the next few minutes. But first, before we do that, let's listen into the reactions that are coming in.
ऐसी खबर आ रही है कि ईडी ने अरविंद केजरीवाल जी को अरेस्ट कर लिया है। तो आज लोकसभा का चुनाव अनाउंस होने के बाद अरविंद केजरीवाल का अरेस्ट एक राजनीतिक साजिश है। अरविंद केजरीवाल जी दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री थे, दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री हैं और दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री रहेंगे। हमने शुरू से स्पष्ट किया है कि अगर जरूरत पड़ेगी तो अरविंद केजरीवाल जी जेल से सरकार चलाएंगे। कोई भी ऐसा कानून नहीं है जो उन्हें जेल से सरकार चलाने से प्रोहिबिट करता है। उनका कोई कन्विक्शन नहीं हुआ है, उनका कोई कन्विक्शन नहीं हुआ है। वो ही दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री रहेंगे।
अरविंद केजरीवाल की गिरफ्तारी हो गई है। जिस चीज की मांग को लेकर आप काफी समय से मांग कर रहे थे, सड़कों से लेकर आपने प्रदर्शन किया, विधानसभा तक कई विधायक उसमें आपके साथ रहे, कई प्रदर्शन आपने किया। अरविंद केजरीवाल को आखिरकार ईडी ने अब अरेस्ट कर लिया गया है। आम आदमी पार्टी सवाल उठा रही है, आम आदमी पार्टी कह रही चुनाव से पहले यह किया गया।
देखिए, नवंबर में पहला सम्मन गया, तब से लेकर अब तक 9 बार जांच एजेंसी ने सम्मन दिए। जांच से आप भाग रहे थे, कोर्ट में रिलीफ लेने आप गए। आज जब माननीय न्यायालय ने स्पष्ट कर दिया कि आपको जांच में जाना ही पड़ेगा, तो जांच एजेंसी अपना काम करिए और कानून जो काम कर रहा है वो हम सब उस कानून की परिधि में आते हैं। अरविंद केजरीवाल कोई अनोखे नहीं है। इतने इनके मंत्री ये बात बोल रहे हैं ना, इनसे कहिए कि आप अरविंद केजरीवाल का अपमान कर रहे हैं। अरविंद केजरीवाल सरेआम ये कहा करते थे, हमारे किसी भी नेता पर कोई आरोप लगे वो तुरंत इस्तीफा दे दे, किसी के ऊपर भी जरा से भी आंच है तुरंत उसे जांच एजेंसी के सामने जाना चाहिए। और आज ये कह रहे हैं कि हम केजरीवाल जेल से सरकार चलाएंगे। अब क्या सेक्रेटरी, क्या इनके मंत्री, क्या कि जेल में जाके तिहाड़ के प्रांगण में कैबिनेट बैठक करेंगे? कहने से पहले 10 बार सोचना चाहिए। देखिए, उनका भविष्य वो जाने, लेकिन दिल्ली की जनता आज चैन की सांस ले रही है कि उनको लूटने वाले, उनको ठगने वाले, उनको छलने वाले, उनका अंत अब निश्चित है, सबके सामने है।
Now, it's also the election year. In fact, just a matter of few weeks. And we are going to be having the elections. Shreya, what is also important to understand is this whole Delhi liquor policy and what's unraveling is way beyond just Delhi and the Delhi politics or the national capital politics.
Given the fact that K. Kavita is already behind bars.
Absolutely.
Given the fact that over the next couple of hours, possibly as early as tomorrow morning, once Arvind Kejriwal has been produced in court, K. Kavita and Arvind Kejriwal could very well be confronted, because the ED has claimed, we don't know if it's true or not, but the ED has claimed that K. Kavita has told them that she actually gave 100 crore rupees as bribe to Arvind Kejriwal. So that is something that will definitely play out and have repercussions far beyond Delhi. Not just Delhi, Punjab, and of course down south as well.
And also it's important to understand both Arvind Kejriwal as well as K. Kavita, two important aspects or two important parts of the India bloc have been named as conspirators.
That's true.
They both are conspirators in the Delhi excise policy scam, as the BJP has been calling it. And both of them have always tried to skip the summons that have been brought. In fact, Arvind Kejriwal has skipped 9 summons.
Do you know what is also interesting? And we should have probably seen this coming. The officer who was questioning K. Kavita before her arrest is the same officer who had knocked the doors of Arvind Kejriwal today and questioned him. So maybe we should have known that that the arrest is imminent. It's coming. Any case, the Aam Aadmi Party has been predicting it for over 2 months, and that is exactly what has happened. So there is a legal procedure that will play out over the next 24 hours, but there is a political fight, and a big one, that will play out in the streets of Delhi as well. In fact, it has already started.
That's right. And in fact, linked to all of this is, just to recap this for our viewers, the South cartel is the key link between what's happening with Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal as well as K. Kavita of the BRS. Now, what has ED claimed? ED has claimed the policy, which was eventually scrapped after a probe, or the CBI probe, was demanded by none other than the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi. Now, ED has claimed that this policy was to benefit the South Cartel. South Cartel had links with the Delhi's Aam Aadmi Party as well as the BRS. BRS's K. Kavita in particular. And ED has also claimed that 100 crore rupees kickback was supposed to be received by the Aam Aadmi Party.
So the ED is saying, this is interesting, the ED is saying 100 crore rupees kickback, the Aam Aadmi Party is saying, where is the money trail? Show us if you have a money trail of even a penny. You have not been able to establish that in the last 18 months of investigations. Very interestingly, Sneha, yesterday the CAG put out a report on the alleged liquor gate, and they are putting the presumptive loss at 2,002 crore rupees. Now, the Aam Aadmi Party, of course, has been saying, on what basis have you, have you been asking repeatedly Mr. Arvind Kejriwal to appear before you? Today, the matter went to the court. Today, the matter went to the Delhi court. The Delhi court actually looked at all the papers that the ED presented to them and found that there was enough reason with the ED to actually summon Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, which is why the Delhi High Court refused to give Mr. Kejriwal any sort of protection from arrest, which is why he's been arrested by the end of this evening.
That's right, Shreya, and also important to know, something that started from 2021 August possibly, August or November, when the excise policy was implemented, to now. In Delhi alone, you've had 4 ministers, one not directly linked to the excise policy, but money laundering as such. So 4 ministers, including a deputy chief minister, as well as the chief minister, is now in jail. Kejriwal, you know, of course, Arvind Kejriwal, matter of moments, matter of time before he'll be in jail. Including K. Kavita, the BRS leader. And we are being joined right now by R.S. Pathania, who's a spokesperson for BJP, Madhavan Narayanan, who's a senior journalist, Kamruzman Chaudhary, who's a political analyst, Abhishek Sudhir, who's an advocate, as well as Syed Asad Abbas, who's a political analyst. Shreya, do you want to take the first question?
Actually, I want to take my first question before we get the politicians in. I quickly want to put a question to Mr. Narayan. Mr. Narayan, you know, the Aam Aadmi Party can keep saying that Mr. Arvind Kejriwal will rule from within jail. We have the blessings of the people of Delhi. We've done a referendum, and the people of Delhi have told us that even if Mr. Arvind Kejriwal goes to Tihar jail, he can continue to rule us. We know practically that is not possible, right? I want to ask you, what happens to the leadership question within the Aam Aadmi Party? Fact is, PMLA is something that doesn't lend itself very easily to bail, which means we can safely assume Mr. Kejriwal will be in jail for the foreseeable future. What happens to the party? What happens to the leadership? Who leads it?
Yeah, I think, Shreya, before we go further, let me say 2 things. One is that I'm not very comfortable with the use of the word arrest in this entire controversy. Correct word is detention, legally speaking, because unless the charge sheet is filed and there is a formal arrest, which should be called preventive detention or custodial detention or remand, but not really arrest, because so prosecution is not trial and process is not punishment. That is the best course of law. To your question on leadership, I think it's a very relevant question, because if you see the way Satyendra Jain and Sanjay Singh and Manish Sisodia are already in, there is certainly a leadership crisis in the Aam Aadmi Party, even if technically, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to watch 2, 3 things. We'll come to that. But before that, let me answer your question specifically. The interesting thing about Aam Aadmi Party, and I have no hesitation in saying this, is that although it's a regional party confined largely to Delhi and Punjab, it has an excellent set of middle-class urban professionals who have entered politics. There's a lot of leadership bandwidth in Aam Aadmi Party, disproportionate to its influence in politics, unlike some other parties. So I see Atishi as next in line as a chief ministerial candidate. And I do not rule out Kejriwal somehow exercising some influence to look at the files, or at least keep the technical position of the leadership there. But there are certainly deeper issues involving policy, processes and programs. There's a lot of political mud being thrown because it's the election season. I just saw a very interesting tweet from October 25th, which predicted that Kejriwal would be actually detained just before Lok Sabha elections, because Sisodia was detained just before the Karnataka elections or whatever. I got a full sequence. So it's all very political. But yes, it's a very serious question. And it also goes to show that the BJP is taking Kejriwal very, very seriously. 2 points, one in a lighter vein. I mean, people say that South is seceding, but if this Telangana Aam Aadmi Party nexus is any indication, there's a lot of cooperation going on. The other thing is that, you know, we
Right,
have to
Mr.
look
Narayanan.
at some of the issues from a point of view of policy. A lot of evidence is being cited, but we are conflating policy issues with process issues. And there's got to be an audit trail. There has to be a quid pro quo. And only then there is a final conviction. We need to keep that in mind as journalists.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. In fact, you know, it's interesting that Mr. Narayanan says it's not an arrest at this point. It's a preventive detention. It is possibly he's been detained. However, according to what sources have said, at least what has been confirmed to the journalists, the Enforcement Directorate themselves are calling this an arrest at this point.
Correct.
To you, Mr. Kamruzman, now opposition has come out strongly from the Congress to the NCP, but this was expected. 9 summons were evaded. The court had to finally ask, why are you not going? If the arrest has to happen, it would happen in any form. That's what the court said. Nothing can stop the ED if the arrest has to happen. In fact, Enforcement Directorate said these words before the court today. If we had to arrest, we would arrest anyway, and that's finally what's happened. So BJP is saying, what are you really scared of? And that's possibly what everybody will be asking now.
Basically, one thing is very clear after tonight, you know, the BJP and its agencies are no longer pretending that we are in a democracy right now. The basic reason, you know, when the government was functioning with the parliament, we have seen that how they have suspended numerous MPs from the opposition to bulldoze some bills through. We have seen how major opposition parties' leaders have been hounded by investigating agencies. Though I am of the opinion that if anybody has committed a crime, needs to face the rule of the law. There is no denying the fact about it. But then it has become too obvious of the Bharatiya Janata Party to claim the high ground and say that we are holier than thou, because most of the tainted leaders somehow or the other have found their place within the Bharatiya Janata Party. Out here, you see what they did with the Congress Party, emptied their coffers in an election season, frozen all their bank accounts. And even though it is a debatable question whether the income tax can seize a bank account or not, what are the technicalities regarding to the seizure? But then it has become pretty obvious that you create governor's posts to hound opposition rule governments. You use the ED, CBI to take back political leaders into your fold, to break our regional parties into two, to resort politics. You have even gone to such an extent wherein you have overturned the Supreme Court's decision and made amendments to the law through ordinance route. There are examples. And now tonight what happened was a very big expose that has happened over the last few days because of the electoral bond scam. And there is a direct relation to the BJP and even this, Aurobindo Pharma.
So you're saying these are diversionary tactics?
Yeah, that's a point that has to be debated.
You're saying that the arrest is okay, you're saying the point that needs to be debated is this arrest a diversionary tactic from the embarrassment that the BJP is suffering from because of electoral bonds and the fact that beneficiaries have now been linked to the donors. But Mr. Patania, just respond. You're spokesperson of the BJP representing the ruling party that is coming under attack. Respond to the charges that are coming this evening from the opposition party. Aapko apne mein to kuch gadbad lagti nahi hai. You know, when Ajit Pawar joins you, he suddenly becomes squeaky clean. But Arvind Kejriwal has to be arrested. Point is, why, you know, the investigation started 18 months ago. Now, right during the beginning, at the beginning of the election season, you end up arresting Delhi's chief minister, who just, by the way, is not just the chief minister, but also the convener of a national party, of the Aam Aadmi Party. Obviously, people will question your timing.
But Shreya, thanks for allowing me to put my viewpoint across the board. But does being a chief minister of an opposition party and being a national convener of a political party absolve somebody of his all acts, omissions and irregularities? So you see, it's a classic case of justice delayed but not denied. It's a classic case of law taking its own course. And let me respond to the lead argument which is being put forth with much fanfare by all the defense hitters and peoples and politicians on Twitterati and on all that social media, model code of conduct is in force. All the agencies, including ED, they cease to be under the administrative control of the Sarkar just now. So let us, now there's another side of the affair. 9 summons issued to Mr. Kejriwal, he did not respond. He went to High Court, they did not give him the interim relief. Why was the policy, if it was good, why it was scrapped? 3 main zealots, Mr. Satyendra Jain, Mr. Sanjay Singh and Mr. Manish Sisodi also facing the heat. He is the basic kingpin. Where's the point to politicize? This is the same Advocate Party which had risen to the crest of popularity on the basis of fighting corruption. And their own leader after leader, and now their leader of leaders, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, is within the ring of corruption. Why doesn't he come clean?
Okay, Mr. Patania.
Why doesn't he?
We get your point, but
lastly,
I think you raise a very important point. I think you raise a very interesting point. Mr. Patania, Ruki, I'm sure you have a lot to say, but you raise a very important point. Sneha, he raises an important point, an interesting one. He's saying, why are you blaming the BJP and the government? We have nothing to do with this. The model code of conduct is now in place, and it is the election commission under which the agencies are working and not the government of India. In an ideal world, yes, maybe that is how it would have functioned, but we will not insult the intelligence of our viewers, but just put that question to Abbas, who is joining us on the broadcast. Go ahead.
Just to ask that one more thing to Mr. Abbas, the fact also remains that bails after bails, I mean appeals after appeals, the ministers, the former ministers still remain in jail.
Shreya ji and Sneha ji, wonderful to be on your show. Thank you for having me. Now, coming straight to the point. Yes, all day I've been answering all the BJP spokesperson who've been asking me time and again, 9 summons. Did it have to take 9 summons for Arvind Kejriwal ji to come before the ED? Respected sir, Arvind Kejriwal is the leader of India's fastest growing political startup, which is the Aam Aadmi Party. He has 2 states to lead, the Punjab Party and the Delhi Party. He's also the Chief Minister of Delhi. Also being the national convener, sir, it's very easy for you and I to blame him, but we speak of Arvind Kejriwal, who's a very busy man with politics and Lok Sabha elections to come. Also, yes, questions have been raised. Very nice, sir, that you've informed me and enlightened me that there are model code of conduct there. Respected sir, yes, we are all aware. But can you, the party which stated that under UPA's rule, the CBI ED is cage span. Respected sirs, you are doing the same. And let me tell you, Shreya ji, last point. I see a glorious celebration in the BJP camp today. Why, respected sirs of the BJP? Why do you celebrate? And you're already saying, oh, crime, criminal, guilty. Respected sirs, are you a High Court judge or are you a Supreme Court judge? The judges will decide whether he's guilty or not, whether there is conviction or not. So it's absolutely, I would say, immature for many of the BJP
conviction nahi hua, I agree with you.
And so on and so forth. Yes,
Abbas, okay, I agree with you that there is no conviction. I also agree with you there is no money trail, because if a money trail had been established, we would have had details of it. But again, I make the point that today the Delhi High Court has looked through the material which ED has against Arvind Kejriwal, and it is based on that material the Delhi High Court decided not to give him protection from arrest. So clearly there is something for the Aam Aadmi Party to keep dismissing this as a fake scam doesn't hold water anymore, because court after court has refused to give leader after leader bail. Kuch to hoga na?
Shreya ji, that's a very good question.
And being the convener of the Aam Aadmi Party and the Chief Minister of Delhi, you can't think they baki sab chor hain, but the Chief Minister is fine. I mean, that's the logic that will be applied by the Enforcement Directorate and the BJP.
Shreya ji, that's a very valid question that you've raised. Yes, ma'am. Also, the Delhi High Court has also said that April 22nd to be the next hearing. Arvind Kejriwal ji also requested in the same plea that he is a leader of a party and a part of an India alliance, and he needs time to go to his rallies, campaign for elections. Lok Sabha is indeed. But we also need to understand, yes, as per rule, the BJP could say what the ED is handling is right. But respected sirs, what about the Ajit Pawar camp? What about Modi ji saying naturally corrupt party? Okay. What about the ED cases on Ajit Pawar, Eknath Shinde camp, Himanta Biswa Sharma? Why Dohre Maapdand? Why double standards? BJP,
okay, let me just take this exactly to...
different. So should Arvind Kejriwal join the BJP?
But how is this an argument? I don't understand this argument. How is this even an argument? Mr. Abbas, that's the point that the opposition makes over and over again. But how is this an argument to say, तुमने उसको arrest नहीं किया, तुम हमें क्यों arrest कर रहे हो?
Also, the argument that the opposition time and again makes that the targeting of the opposition is far more than what when we were in the government. Who stopped them then?
Quickly, and then Sneha has another question.
How does Ajit Pawar become new?
Yeah, Mr. Abbas, Mr.
Can I come in
Chaudhary,
10?
go ahead.
Yeah. You know, something very interesting development after tonight, the ECI uploaded the electoral bonds data. With regards to this liquor scam only, how the BJP has bungled up the entire issue, let me just give you a breaking on this. Because as I read on the Twitter, I am giving it to the viewership out here. It's from a verified source. You know, on today's this thing, when CM Kejriwal was arrested, you know one name, P. Sarath Chandra Reddy of Aurobindo Pharma. He was arrested on 10th of November 2022. And on 15th November, he donates through the Aurobindo Pharma to the BJP 5 crore rupees. On 21 November, BJP encashed the bonds. Okay. And on 1st June 2023, the same P. Sarath Chandra Reddy of Aurobindo Pharma has turned an approver in the Slickergate case. Now you join the dots entirely. How come this Aurobindo Pharma, who has totally donated more than 50 crores to the BJP, the director of that company becomes an approver in this Slickergate, and he implicates Kavita ji as well as Arvind Kejriwal. Now you join the dots. That's I leave to the investigators and the social media people and you media people out here.
Aris Patania, do you want to respond to that very quickly? Aris Patania, do you want to respond to that very quickly? Meanwhile, these are the latest visuals on your screen of this is of Arvind Kejriwal coming out. We'll try, and I'm being told this was the car in which he exited, but we'll just try and confirm that to you. Aris Patania, please respond to what some very, very strong allegations that Kamruzman Chaudhary has just raised. Very quickly, I have to go to others as well.
This is cheap histrionics and gimmickry at its best. Had gimmickry been able to solve India's issues and problems, India by now would have turned into a happy oasis of a state. Let us come to call a spade a spade. After all, India is being governed by the very gospel of rule of law. You see, you need to come out with certain substantial proofs. The Delhi Chief Secretary report. This liquor policy, it violates the GNTDC Act. It violates TODR.
No, that's not the point. I was asking a response to what Kamruzman Chaudhary has said. He's talking about the electoral bonds and the money that went into BJP and a connection to that. I mean, I'll get back to you. You may want a minute to just get into that and get a clarification. But
I'm getting
to you, Mr. Clyde, from whether it be Jharkhand, whether it be Bihar, whether it be down south, whether it be what is unfolding in Delhi, how is the India bloc going to be together and contest this election if one after the other, the leaders are being targeted for corruption? To proved or not, we may not know what would happen of that in the court. But at least before the people in the election, it's one after the other leaders who are being tainted with allegations of corruption.
Sneha, this is a systematic strategic plan of the Bharatiya Janata Party to make sure that all these leaders who've been raising their voices against the Bharatiya Janata Party are not around during the campaigning of the election. Because if they're going to keep exposing the BJP, they're going to keep talking about the misdeeds of the BJP, it's definitely going to affect the votes. So the BJP is making sure that these kind of people are not around. So Mr. Arvind Kejriwal is one of the loud voices that has been speaking against the Bharatiya Janata Party. They're making sure he's not there. There are many leaders who have spoken against the Bharatiya Janata Party before, but once they join the Bharatiya Janata Party, they've been given a clean slate, and they can start all over again. I think I heard Shreya saying that what is this whole thing about agar usko arrest kiya nahi kiya to humko kyun kar rahe ya humko kiya to usko bhi kare. That's the fact. Agar hum galat hai, हमने कुछ गलत किया और अगर आप हमें अरेस्ट करें तो ऐसे कुछ लोग भी हैं वहां पर जो अब भारतीय जनता पार्टी में है, they are there, they need to be arrested also. They keep getting the clean chit. This is nothing but a plan by the Bharatiya Janata Party, like, extortion at its best. I mean, the electoral bonds is one of the biggest scams probably in the history of India. I mean, there are people who have been, ED on their neck, and once they have bought electoral bonds, no checking on them. They've gone free.
My point is, Mr. Clyde, you may take electoral bonds and the alleged kickbacks and the correlations that you may infer to the people. But how will that be enough to counter the corruption allegations that are coming against the opposition leaders? Is one corruption against the other corruption a fair deal? Is that what you're going to be taking to the people?
So Sneha, let me tell you something very straight. If there is a corruption, there is a corruption. Nobody is above the law, whoever that may be. If somebody has done something wrong, then let the law take its course. Let the judiciary take its course. But who is the BJP to do this.
Okay.
The point here is you're muzzling the voices of the people who are speaking against you. It's suppression of freedom of speech. I mean, complete mockery of democracy is going on right now here. There are leaders who have taint on them. There are leaders of BJP who question the other leaders. When they join the BJP, everybody gets a clean chit here. I mean, the country is looking at this. Either you join the BJP and get a clean chit, or you buy an electoral bond and you get a clean chit of any kind of or any form. That's what is going on in the country, and complete mockery of democracy is going on. I mean, you don't take my word for it. You are an anchor. You go around and see you are debating every day. This is what is happening around here. There are so many other leaders, like I think somebody mentioned about
here's where things stand right now. Here's where things stand right now. First things first, we showed our viewers a car and we were wondering whether Arvind Kejriwal is in that car on his way to the Enforcement Directorate headquarters. It seems he was not in that car. So that was a bit of a false alarm. But the fact is that eventually, as and when, he will have to be taken to the ED headquarters, post which there will be a medical examination, possibly questioning, and then tomorrow morning he will have to be produced in a court. So as things stand as of now, ladies and gentlemen, in the last 50 days, there are two chief ministers who have been arrested, Hemant Soren and Arvind Kejriwal. Yes, Hemant Soren did put in his resignation moments before he was to be arrested, but in 50 days, two chief ministers have been arrested of opposition rule states and the daughter of an ex-chief minister as well. Can I just quickly come in and speak to Abhishek Sudhir, who is joining us on the broadcast? Did I say ex-chief minister? Why ex-chief minister? Her father is still is still the chief minister of the state. And we are speaking, of course, about K. Kavita. Abhishek Sudhir, why are you finding this arrest that we have seen problematic?
Yeah, Revant Reddy is the CM, no? So I think ex-chief minister is correct, I think, right. But yes.
Yeah, so then I was right. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, my bad.
Right. Yeah. Well, look, I'll stick to the legal aspects of it. I'll pick up where Kamruzaman left off. So basically, you have P. Sarath Reddy, who's the head of the South Lobby. So finally, we have a money trail in the Liquorgate case, Shreya. The money trail goes from Sarath Reddy to the BJP, ironically, because Sarath Reddy has donated 5 crores, right? And Sarath Reddy is the kingpin of the South Lobby and considered to be a close associate of K. Kavita. So essentially, you have proceeds of crime that Sarath Reddy has. And he has taken those proceeds of crime and bought an electoral bond worth 5 crores, which the BJP has encashed while he is in custody, while he has been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate. So the question is, the BJP is responsible for the superintendence of the ED. The ED, while the BJP says is independent, they operate under the aegis of the ruling party, much like the CBI does, right? They're notionally independent, but the appointments are made by the government of the day. Now, if the Enforcement Directorate is investigating Sarath Reddy with the right hand, and on the left hand is saying, give me 5 crores. So, and then says, okay, thank you, Sarath Reddy, for these 5 crores. And then they go encash that electoral bond. That taints the entire Liquorgate scam because the BJP too has benefited financially from the South Lobby. You have essentially benefited from the proceeds of crime. So how can the BJP's hands be clean? There is a Latin maxim, Shreya. He who comes to the court must come with clean hands. Are the Enforcement Directorate's hands clean? Was the Enforcement Directorate aware that P. Sarath Reddy was buying electoral bonds while he was being and donating to the ruling party while the ED was investigating him? Right hand investigates, left hand takes donations. If anything, JP Nadda should be arrested too. If Arvind Kejriwal is guilty, so is JP Nadda as the national president of the Bharatiya Janata Party. This Aurobindo Pharma issue, right, by arresting Arvind Kejriwal is going to be front and center tomorrow. And I assure you, an FIR has to be filed and it has to be investigated. Did Sarath Reddy use the proceeds of crime from the Liquorgate scam to donate to the Bharatiya Janata Party? If that happens, then so the BJP is also a part of the Liquorgate scam. Yes. BJP spokesperson should answer.
Mr. Pathania, respond to that. The charge is specific. The charge is specific, Mr. Pathania. Don't make your answer generic.
Absolutely
respond
not.
to the charges that are coming by way of the Congress party. Specifically, please.
I really appreciate the sweet imagination of my learned panelist. Sweet imagination. Mr.
It's on paper,
Jaitley
sir.
is no more.
How's
Mr.
this
Jaitley is no more.
It is on the
Mr.
elected
Please stand by what he said, sir.
It's on the
Nothing to
Elected
be
Commission website.
afraid
Allow me to
of.
speak. I didn't interrupt you, sir. Mr. Jaitley is no more.
It's on
And
the
you're
Election
talking of his
Commission
arrest.
website. This is not
Mr.
a figment
Jaitley
of
is
my
no more. And you're
How's
talking
this
of his arrest. How you are a legal
How
expert,
is this
sir?
fictional and imaginary?
Yes,
Who is fictional or imaginary?
How one can arrest a dead person, madam? Very simple. He says arrest Mr. Arun Jaitley. How is it?
I'm not saying arrest Arun Jaitley. I'm saying arrest JP Nadda.
You said Jaitley. You said Jaitley, sir. You said Jaitley along with JP Nadda.
Oh my God! I said
Go for your recording, sir.
Okay.
Go for your recording.
Gentlemen, you know, this is what happens when you speak over each other. Our viewers don't understand what you're saying and we don't understand what you're saying, and all we do is waste time. Mr. Narayan. Okay.
I stick to my stand, madam.
Okay, Mr. Narayan, it seems, it's just a minute, gentlemen, just a minute.
Please, madam.
Mr. Narayan, then it seemed, all right, I don't believe we have Mr. Narayan with us on the show anymore.
वो लोकतंत्र को खत्म करना चाहते हैं, वो एक एक करके सभी विपक्ष के नेताओं को जेल में डालना चाहते हैं। ये क्या तरीका है? ये चुनाव जीतने का, लड़ने का, जीतने का क्या तरीका है? इस देश में क्या लोकतंत्र बचेगा अगर चुनाव से पहले आप विपक्ष के हर नेता को जेल में डाल दोगे, आप विपक्ष की हर पार्टी का बैंक अकाउंट फ्रीज कर दोगे? तो ये सिर्फ और सिर्फ प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की एक राजनीतिक साजिश है।
All right, Atishi here speaking to the media a while ago. She had said that Sarkar hum jail se chalayenge. That will have to be seen how the government is now going to be operating out of the jail. Well, thank you very much, R.S. Pathania, Madhavan Narayanan, Kamruzman Chaudhary, Abhishek Sudhir, as well as Syed Asad Abbas for joining us. This is not the last we are hearing of this. A lot is expected over the next 24 hours as well. It's time for a short break. On the other side, we'll bring you all the latest developments through the day.